quit school. Wild baby, proud soon. Don't make it.
The first meeting with him was crucial. I think that's what clinched it, really, because I had to take down the lyrics of Absolutely Free, and they were things like Duke of Prunes, Call Any Vegetable, and the Beatles were writing Hold My Hand and Love Me Do. So I couldn't understand the lyrics, and I made up half of them. And so when he read them, he could have been cross, but he went the other way, and he absolutely howled with laughter. And he said, God, if you can write lyrics like this, you should be writing your own. So I said, well, if I did, I'd make them less rude. And he said, why? What do you mean? And from there on, we had half an hour of discussion about the morality of his lyrics, because he had lines in Brown Shoes Don't Make It, like about a 13-year-old girl making love to an old man on the White House lawn, and he has lines like cover her all over in chocolate syrup and strap her on again. And I said, well, that's immoral. You shouldn't be. And so that clinched it. Made, I think he was surprised by my response, and I was definitely surprised by a man in 1967 taking any notice of me, because in those days girls without education, which I had no education at that time, were not considered anything other than jolly birds. It was a crazy place. The Laurel Canyon is famous for the period that Frank Zappa lived there. Mm-hmm. That's when everybody talks about it. And there were 12 people living in the house, and they all had friends, so they came in and went. So that was busy. But apart from that, there were rock stars came, Captain Beefheart, Eric Clapton, Jefferson Airplane, Grateful Dead, Mick Jagger was there several times.
And did they just sort of drop around kind of unannounced?
They did, but Mick Jagger did announce he was going to come on Tuesday, and then everybody ran around cleaning up the house for the first time for 3 months, but which made me cross, because I'd been doing it myself before that. But anyway, when he came with Marianne Faithfull, and they were sitting in the kitchen having a chat with Frank about politics, people wandered in just the same, wandered through, and Mick Jagger and Marianne Faithfull kept looking, who's all these people coming through? And they just went to the fridge, got something out, went off. I mean, that's how it was. People wandered through that. I think he had an added dimension because he was so extraordinarily talented. He was a fantastic artist. He was, when he was a teenager, he was represented California in a national art competition, and he was an amazing musician and composer. So he had that. But there were funny, strange contradictions. For example, he looked like a crazed drug addict, right? The way he looked. No one believed that he didn't take drugs, and he didn't. And we weren't allowed to have drugs in the house.
Really?
Well, I didn't want any anyway, but the others, families Rubica used to go up in the hills behind the house and smoke her marijuana up there. That's about as far. I don't think there were any hard drugs around at that time, 68, with some people maybe. But anyway, he did not take drugs, but he looked like a drug addict.
Yeah.
He also wrote songs that were very contentious. Songs like I'm Harder Than Your Husband, Don't Come In Me, Catholic Girl, Jewish Princess. These songs are very, very contentious. So you would expect when you met him that he would be a contentious type of person.
Yeah.
He wasn't. He was completely the opposite. He was quiet. He spoke quietly. He was very polite. He was very... he would listen to you very closely. If you watch YouTube videos about him, you will see he pays very close attention to the interviewers, very, very close. And in fact, that's the thing I actually liked about him the most, the fact that he was prepared to listen and debate with you about what you had to say. So that was another strange... he also was a capitalist, really. He lived a capitalist lifestyle, and yet he fated those down and out. He encouraged people to have a free and easy lifestyle. He encouraged that. But with the mothers of invention, he ruled them with a rod of iron. and they had to be at rehearsals on time. They had to learn their parts. He got very cross if they didn't learn their parts, and if they didn't turn up to rehearsals, they got docked their pay. I mean, he was a very hard master with them, and that's why Ray Collins, who was the singer in the group, left several times because he didn't like Frank's dictatorial manner with the band. There were 7 of them, and there are only 3 still alive. Two of them died from drug-related illnesses. One of them, I think, purposely, Christine Ferker, who I have a whole chapter on her. She was a very, very sweet girl, and she died tragically when she was 21 or 22. The others all drove me ragged. I mean, I really had no idea what I was doing, what I had in my hands, because half of them were drug addicts, and when one of them told me she was sniffing smelling salts, I believed her. I got into trouble. Frank was furious with me because I told her to sniff her smelling salts in the TV studio, and he found out about it and thought I was being wry, and I was deliberately telling her to take cocaine.
Yeah.
So I got into trouble with them. I mean, they would a bundle of incredible energy, and they couldn't sing. They couldn't sing, and I had to help them rehearse every day. I was responsible to get them to rehearse. I used to conduct with my pencil, and they literally were fun to be with. I came to like them really much. I'm still in touch with the 3 that are alive. And but in the beginning, I really thought they were the dregs of society. I didn't have any time for them at all. But I came to see, and I realized that Frank was right and I was wrong, and that he had every right to take interest in these girls, and they had real humanity, and they were really interesting and sweet and charming. And once you got past that bizarre look, so that's what I learned. One of the things I learned, and I love working with them. It's great.
What do you think his opinion of this book would be?
I don't know the answer to that question, obviously, but I think perhaps he would be not very pleased with the criticisms I make of him, because I do criticize him in the book. I mean, he believed, I think, that I was totally besotted with him, which I was, but I was not so taken that I couldn't see the faults, and I write those faults in the book, and many people have commented that it's actually the most insightful book about Frank Zappa that's been written because of those kind of insights that I've described. However, I do think he would have liked the fact that I document in great detail all that stuff about the log cabin and Laurel Canyon in 1968, 69, and 1970, because he was very mindful of his history, and he wanted that documented. And I think he would be proud of that aspect of the book, yes, very much. I felt I was very special to him, right? But everybody else who had a relationship in whatever way with Frank also felt that. Everybody, the GTOs, each of the GTOs felt they were special to him. He did have that effect on people.
Hey there, people, I'm Bobby Brown. They say I'm the cutest boy in town. My car is fixed, my teeth is shiny. I tell all the girls they can kiss my hiney. Here I